Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pastor Rosemary. This video is about the question of the immortality of the human being and the immortality of Adam in the Garden of Eden, and whether or not human beings can attain immortality, whether they ever had immortality, whether it's only physical, whether the soul's immortal, or whether the spirit is the only thing that's immortal. Now, the Kabbalah teaches that only the spirit is immortal, but that the soul can be born and enlivened and immortalized through very complex and it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of understanding and a lot of seeking, but that the soul can be made immortal. But not every soul is necessarily immortal, and you're not necessarily born with a soul. So this is going to be more than one video, but we're going to start out by looking at the question of the fact that through the fall of man and through sex, death is introduced into the world. Every student of esoteric Christianity knows this. Everybody knows that because of sexuality, death has been introduced into the world. Now, people say, but God said be fruitful and multiply, have lots of kids. No, God didn't say be fruitful and add. You're adding 23 chromosomes and 23 chromosomes. You're not multiplying. Multiplication is an entirely different method of reproduction. We have been introduced into a system that assures death and pain and suffering. Constant pain and suffering through work and childbirth and having to do all of this reproduction and having to add and add and add. An adder in the path. Now we're going to get into that a little bit in this first video about this, but this is a very deep subject, but we're going to get into it further and further. But remember, God did not say to add. He said to multiply. Jesus Christ is a mercurial god to some when applied to Gemini. And that's because of the time of year that some people think he was born, and also his mother Mary they applied to Virgo the Virgin, and Blessed Virgin Mary. To some, Jesus Christ is a sun god, and to others he's a lunar deity, while still others see him as a harbinger or even an enforcer of very strict Saturnian or Saturnine laws. This is the realm of putting things right and in order so you can flourish within the frequencies of the things that are most important to you, such as when God commanded his Son Jesus Christ to forfeit himself for the sins of us all, so that we are washed clean by the sacred gifts of Christ's holy blood and body. We only need to accept the offering of God's Son if we desire the forgiveness of our corruptible state into which we were born by the adding of our mother's 23 chromosomes to our father's 23 chromosomes, bringing us into the veils of flesh and soul, which cover over our spiritual nature with the veils of death and corruption. In Genesis, God told Adam and Eve to multiply, not to add. In Genesis 1:28, and God blessed them, saying, increase and multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and rule over the fishes of the sea, and the fowls of the air, and all living creatures that move upon the earth. By adding instead of multiplying, we introduce the twin sins of sex and death into the mix. We have lost our heavenly spiritual nature and body of incorruptible light through the adder in the path introduced through death. That's the introduction of death into the system of life. The Genesis 49:17 of the Dewey Reams Bible says, let Dan be a snake in the way, a serpent in the path, that biteth the horse's heels, that his rider may fall backwards. Genesis 49:17 of the Jubilee Bible 2000 says, Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path that bites the horse's heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. Next time, we'll cover the secret of immortal genetics, the Holy Grail, Messianic Holy Blood, and Roslyn Chapel.